We're going to talk about how to make tormas. And what in the world are tormas? They're interesting little items in this tradition, kind of odd. They're of no value to anybody, to you or me. We can't eat them. We can't use them for anything. And this is what makes them powerful and magical. And we're truly entering the realm of magic when we make tormas. Usually we make tormas the night before we start our retreat in our retreat cottage. And they're really, the activity takes a couple hours. It's no small task. It takes a lot of preparation to gather your materials to make tormas. And may we please have the first slide on the PowerPoint I sent you? It's the
not that one. No,
Torma beginner's manual, unless maybe it did not go out this morning.
That's for later.
Yeah, these are for the second half. At any rate, the task of making tormas typically takes hours. So it's the perfect thing to do as soon as you've landed in your retreat cottage. You know what it takes to get ready for a retreat, right? A lot of flurried activity, a lot of lists, a lot of taking care of other people's needs while you're going to be away, a lot of travel typically, and then you get into your retreat cottage and it's, so now you're going to make tormas, and it's a transition activity. This is your transition moment from being out in the world to then being in the world. Okay, yeah, we'll just talk it through. Sometimes maybe the send button doesn't get pushed. So the first thing you'll do is unpack all of your material, your Torma ingredients. And let's see, I wish we had the slides. Oh, okay. And you'll take a moment and set your intention. This is the first time you've had by yourself in the quiet without the world pressing in on you and without you pressing in on your own mind to get ready. And it's a good idea to set your intention. Why are you doing retreat? Why are you making these offerings? And I love to start out with the prayers to Tsongkhapa. I don't know if we've gone over the 1,000 angels of the heaven of bliss. This is a rather lengthy prayer of Lama devotion. And that will calm your mind and get you settled in to why in the world you're doing this retreat. So I'm going to read through it a little bit just to give you an idea of the flavor. And if you'd like a copy of this prayer to take into retreat with you, let me know and I'm happy to get one for you. Please come to me, Lobsang Drakpa, King of the Dharma who knows all things. Come with your sons, riding upon the tops of clouds, like mountains of pure white snow. Come, come from the heart of the Lord of 1,000 angels, living in the heaven of bliss. Sit in the air in front of me, on a throne with cushions of the moon and the lotus, set on the backs of lions. My holy Lama, with pure white smile, happy with me, I ask you to stay for 1,000,000 years to spread the teaching. Stay, for there is no one higher than you with whom I may make merit by goodness of my faith. So that's just the beginning of that prayer. I think I have to connect with Zoom, and that's beyond my capacity right now.
Okay, so no slides.
No slides. So we'll have set our intention, our motive, and you'll now go wash your hands very well. Everything about this practice involves cleanliness. Some traditions go so far as to wear face masks, but we don't do that in ours. But do wash your hands, wash a large work area. If you don't have a large table in your cottage, go ahead and put a large garbage bag on the floor. It gets a little messy, so you want to protect the surface.
And Kat, I just want to comment that I think we will be making our tormas here today after lunch, so they don't have to worry about that.
No, you won't have to worry
retreat.
about that. I'm giving you a download as though you were doing this on your own. Okay. But we are going to be making group tormas today. And we're going to be doing it in silence. Because the process of making tormas is really a meditation in of itself. We'll be doing things with our hands, but we'll be saying the mantra of Tsongkhapa. Maybe we'll be saying the prayer. We won't be chatting. We won't be talking. So it'll be a quiet room with just the murmuring of Tsongkhapa's mantra in the background. Now we're going to have in front of you loaves of bread, mixing containers, some mason jars, honey, some special nectar, ghee. Don't forget the ghee. And milk. Your first milk. And your first task will be to tear the bread up into very small flour-like pieces. Traditionally, they used roasted barley. But when our teacher, our grandfather, Ken Rinpoche, Lobsang Tarchen, came from the East, he could not find roasted barley in Howell, New Jersey. So he substituted that with Wonder Bread, white bread. And we make it very small, into very small flour-like pieces. That takes quite a bit of time. Again, everything takes a bit of time, but that's the reason. We're shifting our mind from the outside world into retreat mode. Then we'll go ahead and add some milk, honey, and ghee. And it's the honey that binds everything together. But we must make sure to add it slowly so we don't add too much. If it's too wet, it will fall down. And we're going to be making tall towers, tower-like structures that have to hold themselves up. And then after we make the dough just right, and people will be walking around, answering questions if you have any. And maybe your friends sitting next to you will have had experience making them before. So please don't sit in confusion or silence, wondering what to do. We're there to help each other, but not chit chat. Okay, understand the difference? Also, if you would like a list of all of these materials, I'd be happy to provide that for you to take home with you for your next retreat that you do by yourself. Then we're going to paint the structures we've made, the tormas, with ghee. Oh, very good.
Here they are.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on. There we are. That's it. That's where we are. So you've got a picture now of what we need to make these tormas.
So we're painting them red.
No, we're not painting them red, just ghee.
Just painting them with ghee.
And then we're going to cut little cheese pieces called ornaments, and we'll decorate the torma with cheese shapes put into the bread dough torma with toothpicks. And then we'll put them into either a mason jar if you're camping, or a paper plate if you're in a house, a retreat house, and take them home. Now, also, when we make the original torma, we'll make something called tormalettes, little tormas. And those, they're about this tall, little pyramid-shaped things. Let's see if we have a picture here. No, we don't. Next slide, please. Oh, go all the way to the bottom, please. There's the tormalette picture.
That's slide 14. Yeah.
And you'll make one tormalette per day that you're in retreat. It's a very cool system of keeping track of when you get to go away, to go out. So the first night, you'll put your torma onto your altar. The next morning, when you make your offerings, you'll put one tormalette on the altar with the big torma. And then the night goes through. The next day, when you set your altar up, you put the second tormalette on your altar. And when you run out of tormalettes, you get to leave. So it's kind of a fun system to keep track of what day it is without having your phone on hand. Can we go back up, please, to the picture of Jetsun Kappa? Here's his mantra, of course. We'll say that while we're making the tormas, and probably while you're in retreat. This is going to be the mantra you might be doing. And let's go down to the next slide. And this shows the process of making the dough. We take the crust off first, and then we tear the slices and then crumble it into a fine powder with our fingers. We've made a few loaves already with crumbled up bread. So if anybody is feeling pressured with time, which I don't think we need to be today, we have 3 whole hours to make these tormas together, which is rare and precious. Oh my God, I don't think we've ever had 3 hours before. So it should be very serene and quiet and calm and lovely.
And Kat, how many tormas are we going to be making today?
We're going to make 1.
Great.
Yes.
And we'll tormalettes.
And how many tormalettes? 3. Okay, very good. I think that is all on this. What else can we say? Again, the power of this offering is that it's of no value to you and I. So it's truly a gift from your heart to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and to Jetsun Kappa. It's a selfless offering.
And do you want to talk a little about the shape of the tormas we're going to make today?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Do we have a picture of that? They are all different shapes. Each retreat, can you go to slide 15, please? Slide 14. Each retreat has a different set of tormas with different designs. And none of these pictures represent what we are going to make today. We're going to make round cones. Let's see what picture 15 shows us. We're going to make round cones with a narrow top, and it'll gradually get bigger to the bottom. And it must fit for campers into the inside ring of the torma, of the mason jar. So that'll be important if you know you're going to be camping. Now, the reason if you're camping, you have to put them into a mason jar is to keep the smell of the food protected from animals, so they don't want to come into your tent. Very important. We have about 50 mason jars, so we can use those all up first, but make sure if you're a camper to get it quite immediately.
So the campers probably get the first priority. And it's also important, from my experience, if you can, to put the tormas in a glass jar if you're in a cabin, because that too can attract animals inside.
I've heard that before, yes. But I never put mine into a glass jar.
I have done it both ways, and I advise the glass jar if possible.
And it's definitely personal.
Yes. Oh. It's not, we don't hear you yet. And we will try to leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end. So we'll take your question, but if others have questions, hold on a little.
If there are 50 glass jars and obviously many more of us, then should we do like one torma per cabin to conserve on glass jars or something?
No, I think it will be good to make a torma each person, definitely. This is not monsoon season, which is a very buggy time. It's going to be okay to not have a glass jar in a cottage, and vitally important to have one if you're in a tent. Okay, so when we start passing the jars out, please, please, please raise your hand if you're in a tent, and we'll get you set up.
And we will take some questions at the end if people can hold their questions till then.
Okay, I think that's it for me.
Can I add a little bit suggestion to that?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Coco.
I would always expect that.
The glass jars, drinking glasses that we have here at Diamond Mountain, like in the cafeteria, put on a plate. Like if we don't have enough mason jars, will work perfect. You know, the tall water glasses on a little saucer? Yeah, this one. Those would be great. Flip them upside down, put them on a plate. You'll be okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Cool. So is that it for torma making for the moment?
Yep. I'm sure more questions will bring forth more.
We will have questions at the end. Great. Yes. Okay. So let's switch over to psalm markers. Use the platform, please. Hi, I'm Christina Kasica, and I'm going to talk briefly to you, with you, about psalm markers now. This is the other part of the preparation that we need to do to go into retreat. So Kat told us about setting an intention and how important and sacred retreat is. She told us how in retreat you begin to touch a more ultimate reality. You get a big taste of a different, and can we say, a more ultimate reality. And this week, Geshe Michael has begun teaching us, most amazingly, Diamond Way, the priceless wisdom of Diamond Way. And you may have noticed that it's all about our internal existence and how it affects and creates our external existence. So we're learning that what is internal, what is in our minds, creates our outside reality, not just sometimes, but 100% of the time. So some markers are a big part of touching a different reality in retreat. They serve a very important function. So tormas are offerings to the beings that we want to reach who are not in bodily form. Tormas are what Geshe Michael might call bribes to other beings, not in bodily form, that we want to request to leave us alone while we are in retreat. And some markers are not so much bribes, but they are requests. And they do two things. They notify the beings who are not in bodily form around us in our retreat space that we are doing retreat here in this place. And second, we request them to please respect our retreat. So as we study Buddhism, we work more and more with the subtle body, the inside body. We do it in yoga. We do it in Diamond Way. When you take bodhisattva vows, which we just did, you get a subtle aura that we can't see, but is genuinely there around your body. So we know that mind and prana work in tandem, Lung Sem Chupa Chipa. And these are examples of things that we already know about the subtle body, the non-obvious, not very physical body, the body you can't see with your eye consciousness. And this is intensified in retreat. There are beings not in bodily form around us in retreat. Some are spirits that live there 365 days a year. They need to be notified that you are doing retreat in their space. And some are negative beings who could cause you some harm or problems or difficulty in your retreat. Some markers are used to mark out the boundaries of your retreat cabin and notify the beings who live there or who may come to visit that you are doing retreat, and you request them very strongly not to disturb your retreat. Some markers are like a keep out, please sign. So there's a US business principle called the tall poppy syndrome, which means if you are doing extraordinary efforts, you attract attention. When you are in retreat, you are doing an extraordinary thing, and you will attract the attention of non-physical beings. The tallest poppy in the field, which is all of you, you're doing a super spiritual practice, will attract these beings, and you don't want them to cut you down. So when you go into retreat, you are a very special individual, and you're doing a very special achievement, and you need help. The beings that we call demons hate it when you do this super special activity and when you are successful. So, are there demons? Geshe Michael recommends a book called The Screwtape Letters by an English author called C.S. Lewis. And it's about the devil, who is in very plausible human form, leading us astray all day long. We also had teachings this week on an angel debates the devil, where we find that the devil has half of the space in our mind, if not more, very often. And we need to resist that devil speaking to us and leading us astray. So some markers are a very powerful and important way to protect yourself against this kind of being who will be very attractive to you in retreat. So don't rush or skimp. Don't shortchange making your psalm markers this afternoon. When you think of the markers protecting you, they actually create a wall around your retreat space. And these walls will keep in all your holy realizations during retreat. And they will keep out any harmful energy that would disturb your retreat. So there are many stories of even senior practitioners who didn't take psalm markers as seriously as they needed to. If you see any older practitioners around, you might ask them for their story. When things go wrong in a retreat as a result of not being sufficiently protected. So they had to remake the psalm boundaries during their retreat in these cases. And I think you heard a story from Tim earlier this week about that. So the next time they did retreat, they paid proper attention to boundary markers. So doing a good job with your psalm markers will keep you safe in retreat. They're a big reason why you do not need to be afraid when you're alone or in deep retreat in your cabin. Don't be afraid. Harmful spirits may be big or little, but psalm markers will protect you against them. And you will be a tall poppy, more visible to harmful spirits, but you're in the very best place to be protected while you do retreat, and that is the Diamond Mountain Retreat Center. At Diamond Mountain, there are lots and lots of protections. But whether you are here at Diamond Mountain or at home around the world, Diamond Mountain protection extends warmly and generously to all of us. Many people have done retreats here, and it's a very holy place. Geshe Michael has blessed it many times. And here on site, we will put up big psalm markers on the hills, north, south, east, and west around the retreat to protect you. And you will put up your own psalm markers on your cabins or your tents, and they will protect you as well. And this extends to the world, to everybody participating in this retreat. And Sam is a word that means boundary in Tibetan. So it protects the boundary where you're doing your work. The Sanskrit we learned this week is Sima. So it's the way you tell these beings that we've been talking about where you don't want them to go. It's a very effective keep out sign. So because we are being very respectful of these beings, because we give them nice gifts like tormas, which are entirely for them, not for us, we find that they will respect our requests as well. So it's a nice intercommunication, a mutual situation.
Can I say something more about the protection markers?
Yes.
I have to say, during 3-year retreat, I was not sensitive enough to notice outside spirit activity here or there or not. However, the protection markers and the protection marker practice I did and focused on was to keep my mind in the retreat cottage. So not only does it keep outside influences away, but it keeps your mind in the retreat cottage. And when you start to think, oh, do I have a doctor appointment next week? Oh, did I shut the refrigerator door? That's a time to go reinforce your protection markers. And this was actually the instruction given to our teacher from his teacher at the beginning of his 3-year retreat was keep your mind in the retreat cottage. Very difficult to do. So lean on your protection markers and use them to keep your mind in the retreat cottage.
That is a great point. Keep the good stuff inside with the protection markers. Keep your focus and keep the bad stuff outside. That is the function of a great boundary. And it also, you may have wonderful realizations in your retreat, and it will help you keep those as well. So, okay, what does a psalm marker look like? So on the face of it, it's a piece of 8.5 by 11-inch paper in America, folded into three sections. Now, on the top, we will write a very powerful mantra. It's Om Ahum. Om Ahum stands for the body, Om, the speech, the mind, Hum, of an enlightened being. So, Brian, may we have the first slide? Yeah, there it is. So you, this afternoon, will write these characters, probably in red, white, and blue, or black, red, and blue, maybe.
Or yellow or green.
Any color you like.
Orange.
Red and blue are traditional, but as Kat says, your choice. And we will write them in this order. Traditionally, we write it in Tibetan. I like to write mine in Sanskrit, the original language, but Tibetan is our tradition. Now, inside this folded paper, we will put a few strands of dried kusha grass. So Brian will show us the next slide, or someone will show us the next slide. All right, this is kusha grass. Kusha grass is what the Buddha was sitting on when he became enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And since then, it is known to have the quality of powerful protection. So between the mantra, Om Ahum, and the kusha grass, the sun marker has much power. So later today, yes, Kat. Okay, I was going to say we're going to make 4, but Kat says 1. Each one of us will make 1. What I do with them, let's say I'm alone in my cabin, I make 4, 1 for each direction. But if you're sharing a cabin, each of you can make 1. Make 1 at least today, even if you have 5 people in your cabin. And then you will put them outside your cabin or tent or the house. If you're at home, somewhere in Germany or Taiwan or Singapore or Uruguay, you will put 1 up in each of the 4 directions on the outside of your house or cabin. So it's the very first thing you do when you go home this afternoon, go into retreat. Put them up as securely as you can. And I think we generally use blue sticky tape here. And we'll give you some of that to take home and put sun markers up with. So you should check them also during retreat every day in case they fall down or the wind blows them off or the rain makes the sticky tape less sticky and you just put them back up. So how do you put them up? They face outward and you imagine as you put them up that they are facing in the 4 cardinal directions, even if your house faces in a slightly different direction. Traditionally, we start north, we go west, then south, then east in a counterclockwise direction. So you'll be walking around the outside of your house with your markers and your tape, and you put 1 up outside your door, your front door, which we will call north, whichever direction it actually faces. Then you'll go counterclockwise, put 1 on that wall, then behind, go to the south wall and put another, and to the east and put the last one. And is that the way you do it, Kat?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Now,
what about tent?
Oh, tents. Now, I'm not the tent expert. I think it's 1. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes, you'll just put 1 up in your tent.
Okay. If you really want to, you could put 4, but 1 is good. We'll get questions in a minute, but something that's very important. The day you finish your retreat, please remember to take your sun markers down. Otherwise, because this is very real, the spirits will feel they have to keep respecting the boundary markers, even though you are no longer there doing retreat. And that can be very annoying to them because really it's their home that you're spending time in. So you want to respectfully return control of their space to them. They might get annoyed if you don't. And we never want to disturb the peace of mind of other beings' minds. So after retreat, you may wish to keep your boundary markers in a special place at home to remind you of doing retreat. Geshe Michael says he keeps all his markers in a big drawer somewhere because he likes to remember his retreats using them. And my personal preference is to make fresh markers for every retreat. But I believe some people do reuse their markers. Do you have a comment on that?
No, Coco, do you have a comment on that?
Microphone.
No, nothing too much, but I do remember Holy Lama Geshe Michael and Lama Christy would make new ones for each retreat. I've done both, but I'm inspired by your talk to take time to really make a beautiful one, like put energy into giving it meaning as you're making it. So I have reused mine, but I do remember my Holy Lamas making fresh ones for each retreat.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And I think we have some time for Q&A. If anyone has questions, let us know, and we'll ask Coco to join us in answering as well. Okay, Kat, do you want to pick some folks?
Marjorie.
Thank you. I was wondering, I was trying to remember as we're putting the retreat markers around the house, do we what are we thinking, or are we trying to get our mind set in retreat, or do we do a mantra?
I think that depends on, I think, we could start setting the intention with the placement of those protection markers.
Okay.
And maybe your intention is to connect with a teacher in a non-human form, or to achieve bodhicitta so that you can help all beings be happy and free from suffering. To also really honor your neighbors, your non-human neighbors, and the animals, the local spirits, and ask them for permission to do retreat in this area, and to let them know your intentions are good, and please help me do a good retreat. And begging always works in my experience. Please help me do retreat.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you. And I had one other question about the picture of the tormas we're making today, because it looked like the cheese was a different shape, like a diamond and something in the middle.
As I said,
can you explain that, or no?
We don't have a picture of the tormas we're making today.
Oh, we're doing circles?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll show you during the class. We'll give examples.
Okay, thank
Coco,
you.
do you want to come up here?
Making.
Coco, you want to come up?
Or give her that mic and she can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just add to when you're putting your protection markers. So they're called protection markers, for your boundary. And I think part of how they work as well is helping you establish in your own mind, you're creating a space, a mental space, your physical space. Like, I'm going to do this work here. It's so incredible that we even have time to do a retreat, to hear holy teachings, to have time to go into a retreat with our own mind and own heart and go after these goals. So when we say Om Ah Hung on those protection markers, we're calling, our holy mother and father Buddhas who have an eye on us as their children, especially if we took our bodhisattva vows and refuge vows. And it's like surrounding us in their love and protection, enlightened mind, enlightened speech, enlightened activities. And we're saying that's what's going on here. We're defining our space. So when you put it, it's like, hey, this is not my ordinary life. This is not my everyday life in here. This is my most sacred life, my highest aspirations, my deepest connection to truth. And I'm putting this up and I'm defining my space. This is what goes on in here. This is not regular activity. What I do in here is highly sacred, highly powerful. So when we put it up, it's defining our space, our physical space, and our mental space, and even our deeper, most sacred space. So when you do that, that's it. That's what's going on here. It's really getting clear for yourself and everything else. Like, hey, this is not the usual day-to-days. This is not normal stuff. This is extra special, sacred stuff in here. And we're making a point through our activity. Like we're actually making something, taking time to think about it, connecting to those beings, and stating. It's like staking your intention, your space when you put them up. It doesn't have to be all that intense, but they are very special. You know, like I don't have to put off with like slam it on the window and like tape it hard, but knowing in your mind, like, no, I'm making time. I'm taking time for my life to finally do something really special with it. You know, I'm making my life count by making myself go into retreat and think about highest wisdom and love and making those repairs in ourselves.
Great. Thank you, Coco. And I think we have a question right here.
Thank you so much for the explanation. Actually, I was planning to have fun these 3 days, and right now I'm a little bit afraid of. So my question is, if I'm planning to go to the temple or I don't know, to massage, should I put the markers outside as well or only to our cottage?
Well, my quick answer is your cottage is where you put the markers and they will protect you. But earlier I mentioned that Diamond Mountain people will take bigger markers out for the whole valley. So you will have that protection and your more individual protection. Mm-hmm. So if you leave your cabin or tent or house to go for a walk, at least here, you will be protected by this double layer and you have some addition.
Also, for people at home,
yes,
we're staking out protection markers for the whole planet.
Yes.
So at home as well, if you go out of your home for a walk, we've got you covered.
So that's enough. I mean, to put markers around our cottage, that's enough because there are additional protection near temple and yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Now, if you are doing retreat at on your own without us here at Diamond Mountain, you would go for a walk before you start your retreat and predict where you want to go and put one of your markers out there. Yes.
I see.
Yes. But we're going to take care of the outside for you.
Thank you.
I have a question for the online audience. What if I want to do the protection markers, but there is no kusha grass near?
Great question. It's not easy to get kusha grass. As someone in the audience said, you can try an Indian or Asian grocery store. I have bought them as brooms and then cut them. But more importantly, perhaps, wherever you are in the world, use some type of local grass or bushes or twigs, or Kat may have other ideas.
No, that's perfect.
Just cut some and make it the right length to stick out of your saw marker on top and bottom a little bit, and just a few strands is enough. But using a local vegetation is fine. Any other comments?
You can also buy that kusha grass broom online.
Yeah.
And since you only need a little bit, you'll have plenty for many years to come and for your friends as well.
Okay, Shanti has a question.
Yeah, it's a little hard to admit, but I feel like I need to. I'm nervous about the idea of all these creatures, disembodied spirits around me trying to get at me or something. So I'm just feeling nervous and edgy about that idea because it's kind of, even though I've heard it before, it's kind of new for me. Is that being worried or nervous a key part of entering into this? And also I'm in cottage 27, which is way out at the edge. is there a marker beyond my cottage? Because when I try to walk beyond it, it's very spiny and spiky and hard. So I can walk back down on the road and I'm just feeling alone and concerned. So
First of all, you are putting that protection marker up since you are out that far. And I think the idea of these spirits, it's important to remember where everything's coming from. And so and I do this a lot, if fear arises, I immediately, go to four powers and to purify a time I scared somebody. Maybe I was talking on the phone while I was driving. That's a demon. That would result in a projection of something scary, right? Because it's coming from you. And then B, rejoice about having protected somebody before. Okay? So these are just ideas that come from how we treat other people. And it's not a reason to be afraid. It's a reason to take action. And four powers when I scared somebody, and rejoice when I protected somebody. It's an opportunity. Okay.
Very beautiful. And I also want to suggest before Maria comments that the psalm markers are exactly designed to take away your fear, because they absolutely will protect you from these things. And you must know that in your heart. So once you put the psalm markers up, be at ease because you are protected then. Maria has something to add.
Yeah, I'd like to add from my experience. When I had an experience of feeling someone next to me that I could not see, I would offer to join in my practice or have, at that time, the retreat we had a sadhana. So I just left it open on the table and invited the spirits to partake in the practice. And it helped me move through the fear into the service and giving.
Thank you. Other questions? Oh, wait, hold on. Coco has a comment. And Coco is a very senior practitioner.
Yeah, I think maybe we're a little heavy loaded on protection from spirits. Really, it's things that can come up within our mind that could stop us from focusing efficiently on our meditation or retreat topic. I think the other part is to remember the whole reason that we all come here. I think it's a thing that really ties us together is because we really are concerned for all beings. Like we do see the suffering in life. And what brings us here is because we finally heard about being able to work to help all beings, to relieve them from their suffering. And that's what's going on in this space as well. It's love for all beings. So I think don't get too heavy loaded on things that could interfere. If something does interfere, you bring up your highest understanding of emptiness and karma. Like that's the time to use it. There is no real inherent outside spirits in and of themselves out there. They came from some seeds we planted. So the same way there's a angry husband or yelling at you, the same way with the spirits. Like, where did that come from? Oh, I must have planted some seeds. There's no power inherently out there to harm you. But what does help us with everything, past seeds we planted that we don't know, bring up your highest understanding of wisdom. Whatever it is in that moment, that's your protection. That's the real protection. So yeah, don't get too tied up to, there's beautiful beings around too, and working every way to teach us with the signs and love. Like my friends in 3-year retreat were really the ants. They were initially the only beings around me because I didn't see anyone. So you start to build this beautiful relationship. like they were my pet. I don't know. I have dogs and cats too, but so there's that that beauty around us. So don't weigh it so heavy. It's just things that popping up in our mind to stop us from achieving our goals and working towards our concentration.
Yeah, that's the biggest demon of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Coco reminds us that nothing is self-existent. So
Okay.
we have power. There's a question in the back.
I think this will be the last question. It's okay if I put the markers if I'm not alone at home and they don't have idea what I'm doing? And also, where should I put these markers? In which direction should the writing face should be towards? To the walls or towards to us?
Okay, the first thing I want to say that we omitted was, as you close your psalm, make a list of people who you want to be allowed to come in during your retreat for emergency, for example. Your plumbing breaks, write down Joe's name. Or you need to have spiritual counseling, or you know what I'm saying? Predict who you think might need to come in to help you, and write their name down, put them on the altar.
Well, that's a very good point. Yes, thanks, Kat, for bringing that up.
What were the other questions?
Well, the question here is, if you have family members in your house, should you put your psalm markers up?
Oh,
but definitely, if you have family members in your house, write their names down so that they can be known to be allowed to enter your sacred space if necessary.
Cool.
And what would you advise about putting psalm markers up in a family home?
Absolutely. All the family members need to be named. Are you asking if culturally it might be weird?
Microphone, please, microphone.
Like if they're in a house with other people who aren't doing a retreat, should they put their markers on the outside of the house or inside? And if so, which direction should you, if you're putting it inside or if you live in an apartment, you're in a hotel, do you put them inside your room? And then if so, do the letters face the wall or do they face out?
Put them inside your room.
In the room.
With the Om Ahung facing outward.
And as we mentioned earlier, the directions are less important than the intention. So I would put the first marker in the north, whether it is or is not north, near the entrance to the room, and then the others counterclockwise around the room, facing outward. So if you're in a room, I think that would mean that you will put the written side against the wall so that you will see the blank side facing you inside the room.
Okay, we're out of time. When we go in to make tormas this afternoon, try to sit at a table with others who speak the same language as you do. And we'll try to make sure things get translated on an as-need basis during the 3 hours of meditation.
And also, you may have more questions. You may think of questions. You can ask us, but please also ask other senior teachers and senior practitioners in our groups. People know these answers.
Happy retreat.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Vodabran Karin and Christina Kasica. We're so happy to learn a lot of wonderful